All praises, all praises, all praises to the heavenly, holy, almighty creator of infinity, eternity, the universe, and all there is. This is Revelations.Unveiled. Detroit. Hello, family. We are back together again in our wonderful congregation of learning, and we return to the knee of wisdom, where we will resume our review of the hidden history of the Greek Empire, the Greek captivity, the history removed from the Holy Bible and captured in the Apocrypha, in the books of 1st and 2nd Maccabees. And this is to give us a continuing escalation of this excellent spiritual word as we put this information together, and then we connect it to the information of the New Testament when we transition then into the Roman Empire. So, as we are here as the 12 tribes of the house of Jacob, and those who are interested in learning the holy history, we become still and quiet, and we began our fine dining of the bread, manna, meat, and wine of the wonderful word of wisdoms and the majesty of the Most High. All praises. And we begin. The book of 1st Maccabees, chapter 11, verse 1. And the king of Egypt gathered together a great host, like the sand that lies upon the seashore, and many ships, and went about through deceit to get Alexander's kingdom and to join it to his own. Whereupon he took his journey into Spain in peaceable manner, so as they of the cities opened up to him and met him. For King Alexander had commanded them to do so, because he was his brother-in-law. Now, as Ptolemy entered into the cities, he set in every one of them a garrison of soldiers to keep it. And when he came near to IADOS, they showed him the temple of Dagon that was burnt, and IADOS and the suburbs thereof that were destroyed, and the bodies that were cast abroad, and them that had burnt in the battle. For they had made heaps of them by the way where he should pass. Also they told the king whatsoever Jonathan had done, to the intent he might blame him. But the king held his peace. Then Jonathan met the king with great pomp at Joppa, where they saluted one another and lodged. Afterward, Jonathan, when he had gone with the king to the river called Eleutheris, returned again to Jerusalem. King Ptolemy, therefore, had gotten the dominion of the cities by the sea unto Seleucia upon the seacoast, imagined wicked counsels against Alexander. All right, family. So we have Alexander, who is the ruling king. And we know Alexander only ruled 12 years. Then he split his dominion between his 4 ruling generals. And we are now seeing the exploits of one of them and his interactions with us, the people of the Holy Seed. Whereupon he sent ambassadors unto King Demetrius, saying, Come, let us make league between us, and I will give you my daughter, whom Alexander has, and you shall reign in my father's kingdom. For I repent that I gave my daughter unto him, for he sought to slay me. Thus he did slander him, because he was desirous of his kingdom. All right, so the father-in-law of Alexander is conspiring against him, and he gave his daughter, who was Cleopatra, to Alexander. Now he is amongst other kings developing a conspiracy. Wherefore he took his daughter from him and gave her to Demetrius, and forsook Alexander, so that their hatred was openly known. So now we have the king of Egypt, the Ptolemy, Alexander, the emperor, and Demetrius, a fellow king. Then Ptolemy entered into Antioch, where he set 2 crowns upon his head, the crown of Asia and of Egypt. In the mean season was King Alexander in Sicilia, because those that dwelt in those parts had revolted from him. But when Alexander heard of this, he came to war against him, whereupon King Ptolemy brought forth his host and met him with a mighty power and put him to flight. So Alexander fled into Arabia, there to be defended, but King Ptolemy was exalted. For Zabdiel the Arabian took off Alexander's head and sent it unto Ptolemy. King Ptolemy also died the 3rd day after, and they that were in the strongholds were slain one of another. All right, so we see the assassination of Alexander the Greek. We see the death of King Ptolemy, the ruler of Asia and Egypt. Dies shortly thereafter. Verse 19. By this means Demetrius reigned in the 160th and 7th year. At the same time, Jonathan gathered together them that were in Judea to take the tower that were in Jerusalem, and he made many engines of war against it. Then came ungodly persons who hated their own people, went unto the king, and told him that Jonathan besieged the tower. Whereof when he heard, he was angry, and immediately removing, he came to the Ptolemies, and wrote unto Jonathan that he should not lay siege to the tower, but come and speak with him at TREACHERY in great haste. Nevertheless, Jonathan, when he heard this, commanded to besiege it still, and he chose certain of the elders of Israel and the priests, and put himself in peril, and took silver and gold and raiment, and diverse presents beside, and went to Ptolemy's unto the king, where he found favor in his sight. And though certain ungodly men of the people had made complaints against him, yet the king entreated him as his predecessors had done before, and promoted him in the sight of all his friends, and confirmed him in the high priesthood and in all honors that he had before, and gave him preeminence among his chief friends. Then Jonathan desired the king that he will make Judea free from tribute, as also the 3 governments with the country of Samaria. And he promised him 300 talents. Verse 29. So the king consented and wrote letters unto Jonathan, and all these things after this manner. King Demetrius unto his brother Jonathan, and unto the nation of the Jews, sends greetings. We send you here a copy of the letter which we did write unto our cousins Lathinus concerning you, that you might see it. King Demetrius unto his father Lathinus sends greetings. We are determined to do good to the people of the Jews, who were our friends, and keep covenants with us because of their goodwill toward us. Wherefore we have ratified unto them the borders of Judea, with the 3 governments of Ephraimah, and Lida, and Ramathaim, that are added unto Judea, from the country of Samaria, and all the things appertaining unto them, for all such as do sacrifice in Jerusalem, instead of the payments which the king received of them yearly aforetime, out of the fruits of the earth and of trees. And as for other things that belonged unto us, of the tithes and customs pertaining unto us, as also the salt pits and the crown taxes which are due unto us, we discharge them of them all for their relief. And nothing hereof shall be revoked from this time forth forever. Now therefore, see that you make a copy of these things, and let it be delivered unto Jonathan, and set upon the holy mount in a conspicuous place. After this, when King Demetrius saw that the land was quiet before him, and that no resistance was made against him, he sent away all his forces, every one to his own place, except certain bands of strangers, whom he had gathered from the isles of the heathen. Wherefore all the forces of his fathers hated him. Moreover, there was Tryphon, that had been of Alexander's part afore, who, seeing all that the host murmured against Demetrius, he went to Samalcu the Arabian, that brought up Antiochus, the young son of Alexander, and lay sore upon him to deliver him to this young Antiochus, that he might reign in his father's stead. He told him therefore all that Demetrius had done, and how his men of war were at enmity with him, and there he remained a long season. In the meantime, Jonathan sent unto King Demetrius, that he would cast those of the tower out of Jerusalem, and those also in the fortresses, for they fought against Israel. So Demetrius sent unto Jonathan, saying, I will not only do this for you and your people, but I will greatly honor you and your nation, if opportunity serve. Now therefore you shall do well if you send me men to help me, for my forces are gone from me. Upon this, Jonathan sent him 3,000 strong men unto Antioch. And when they came to the king was very glad of their coming. Howbeit, they were of the city gathered themselves together into the midst of the city, to the number of 120,000 men, and would have slain the king. Wherefore the king fled into the court, but they of the city kept the passage of the city and began to fight. Then the king called the Jews for help, who came unto him at all once, and dispersing themselves through the city, slew that day in the city to the number of 100,000. Wow, family. So Jonathan, who was a friend to the king Demetrius, sent some brothers to the city to help the king. And when the people of the city wanted to kill the king, those brothers stepped in as a guard and killed 100,000, a small army of the chosen seed. And we continue, verse 48. Also they set fire on the city and got many spoils that day and delivered the king. So when they of the city saw that the Jews had got the city as they would, their courage was abated. Wherefore they made supplication to the king and cried, saying, Grant us peace, and let the Jews cease from assaulting us and the city. With that, they cast away their weapons and made peace. And the Jews were honored in the sight of the king and in the sight of all that were in his realm. And they returned to Jerusalem, having great spoils. So King Demetrius sat on the throne of his kingdom, and the land was quiet before him. Nevertheless, he dissembled in awe that ever he spoke, and estranged himself from Jonathan. Neither rewarded he him according to the benefits which he had received of him, but troubled him very sore. After this returned Tryphon, with him the young child Antiochus, who reigned and was crowned. Then there gathered unto him all the men of war whom Demetrius had put away, and they fought against Demetrius, who turned his back and fled. Moreover, Tryphon took the elephants and won Antioch. At that time, young Antiochus wrote unto Jonathan, saying, I confirm you in the high priesthood, and appoint you ruler over the 4 governments, and to be one of the king's friends. All right, family. So we see Demetrius fell out of favor with Jonathan, and Tryphon, his enemy, who raised up one of the king's children, returned and crowned the child and forced Demetrius to flee. And now the new king Antiochus has made a good league with the people of Judea and Jonathan. And we continue. Verse 58. Upon this he sent him golden vessels to be served in, and gave him leave to drink in gold, and to be clothed in purple, and to wear a golden buckle. His brother Simon also he made captain from the place called the Ladder of Tyrus unto the borders of Egypt. All right, so Jonathan was made a high priest, and his brother Simon was made a captain of the forces. Then Jonathan went forth and passed through the cities beyond the water, and all the forces of Syria gathered themselves unto him for to help him. And when he came to Ascalon, they of the city met him honorably. From whence he went to Gaza, but they of Gaza shut him out. Wherefore he laid siege unto it, and burned the suburbs thereof with fire, and spoiled them. Afterward, when they of Gaza made supplication unto Jonathan, he made peace with them, and took the sons of their chief men for hostages, and sent them to Jerusalem, and passed through the country unto Damascus. Now when Jonathan heard that Demetrius' princes were come to Cades, which is in Galilee, with a great power, purposing to remove him out of the country, he went to meet them, and left Simon his brother in the country. Then Simon encamped against Bathsura, and fought against it a long season, and shut it up. But they desired to have peace with him, which he granted them. And they put them out from there, and took the city, and set a garrison in it. As for Jonathan and his host, they pitched at the water of Gennesaret, and from whence betimes in the morning they got them to the plain of Nasor. And behold, the host of strangers met them in the plain, who, having laid men in ambush for him in the mountains, came themselves over against him. So when they lay in ambush, rose out of their places and joined battle, all that were of Jonathan's side fled, inasmuch as there was none one of them left, except Mattathias, the son of Absalom, and Judas, the son of Caphi, the captains of the host. Then Jonathan rent his clothes, and cast earth upon his head, and prayed. Afterwards, turning again to battle, he put them to flight, and so they ran away. Now when his own men that were fled saw this, they turned again unto him, and with him pursued them to Cades, even unto their own tents, and there they camped. verse 74. So there were slain of the heathen that day about 3,000 men, but Jonathan returned to Jerusalem. All praises, family. So this was another episode of the hidden history of the Greek Empire and the exploits of Alexander the Greek, his Ptolemies, the generals that were ruled behind him, and how that history intermingled with that of the Holy Seed, the people of Judea, of Jerusalem, the Jews, the Israelites of the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and remnants of Levi. So, we shall continue our expansion, expounding, and elaboration on this holy hidden history for the growth of our spiritual and intellectual thresholds. So, family, as we digest and put this in accordance with the secular history to expand our understanding when we broach the New Testament, we shall continue our review in love, comfort, safety, joy, with the spiritual eye and spiritual ear. And until we are together again, I love you. I love you. I love you. This is Revelations.Unveiled. Detroit, the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 11.